Welcome, Guy Ferré, to Parallax Podcast. And I wondered if we could just begin our podcast, if you could introduce yourself to our listeners.
Yes, sure. Yes. You know, for and foremost, I'm a student of Lee Lozowick. This is the basis of all I do, all my life, whatever I live, this is the basis. And on top of this basis, if I can say, I have a function now, that is teacher in this field. And for me, I don't call myself a teacher. My students call myself a teacher. But for me, I live myself as a servant, even a bad servant, limited servant of this lineage. But it's okay. It's an obligation. It's more than a responsibility. It's an obligation, I assume. And, I assume this function. And it didn't come easily, in fact. It was not a nice journey in some ways to be at this stage in my life. And yes, I've been a doctor for 38 years, in many various countries, in Afghanistan and Angola, through wars and through difficulties and in the rough neighborhoods, you say in English, yeah, in France. So some experience in life with people, and it was a very good experience and useful, I hope, for my patients. And I've been married since almost 35, 36 years. I just can't count now. And we raised with my wife, Divya, we raised 4 children, 4 girls. It was sometimes happy, sometimes not very happy, like a normal family, I guess. And through it all, it was always, the reference was always my relationship to Lee Lozowick. It was always the basis of this.
So, so I guess I want to get into talking a little bit about Lee and you're teaching a course called In Search of Unconditional Love and the Lee Lozowick No Bullshit Path of Transformation in September. And I guess the question that jumps out at me is you spoke very humbly about, taking on this teaching role and so what does it mean to teach and how did you start to teach and why are you teaching and what are you teaching? That's
Yeah, this is this is a question, how a teacher is a teacher.
yeah.
Yes. I don't know for others, I know for my own case. It happens that Lee trusted me since years, in fact, to give a teaching meeting and to go public, and to give public talks and so on, so on. And I've done it, for 10 or 15 years, or for 10 years. I've done it for 10 years, very regularly. I have a teaching meeting, in South France or Spain or whatever, other part of France, during 10 years, every week. So it's a lot of teaching meetings, many public talks all around in the cities, in France and Spain. And at one point, in fact, there was some sort of an inner event coming. And it was a surprise for me, and I was torn by this event. Curiously, this event occurs during my birthday in January 2016. And it's like I was caught off guard and, something. It was like I can't, describe it, but it's like a contract presented in the subtle words directly. It was presented to me, and it was presented during 3 nights. And there was no music, celestial music or whatever, you know, fancy. It was very blunt, very direct. It was take it or leave. Take it or leave it, you know, we don't care, in fact. Or you assume it, or you just, anyone can do it. You know. Another servant will come, will appear. So I was very much in doubt, of course, you know, when such an event occurs, you know, I guess anybody with a sense of 2 grams of honesty will think about it and say, well, what is it? Is it my mind producing this? Where does it come from? Do I create this stuff? You know, is it me? Or no, there is something coming from the invisible world, you know, and that hit me. And so this mess occurred for me and my family, because I'm not alone in this game. For me and my wife, mostly. So this mess went on for 9 months, 10 months. And it was really schizophrenic. It was a fight. Because in some part I say, no, I created it, you know, I don't have to go there. It shouldn't be rightful, lawful. And on the other parts, I say, yes, something hit me. And so something is asking me something and provide me with some information I cannot think about before. I couldn't imagine before. And this type of information is the contract of a teacher. The teacher is a contracted guy only, you know, he's an employee. And so as an employee, he has a contract. Of course, the contract is really different than the worldly contract. But the contract presents the possible, the could-be teacher with an ethic, with the consequences, with which type of behavior is okay and not, and which are the consequences of assuming the post. So this is extremely bizarre, extremely weird. I can understand, but it's what's happened.
So you signed the contract, so to speak, and
Yes,
and you took on the consequences.
yes.
So what are those consequences?
The consequences is very simple. You know, consequences is very simple. And people are, it's, I don't know for other teachers, you know, but for me, my contract specify, like a good insurance contract, you know, there are some little lines at the bottom of the page where everybody has read all the contract, and there is a little line at the bottom. This type of contract, as I said before, is an obligation, is a spiritual obligation. It's not just a responsibility. Responsibility, I can take a responsibility. If I am not up to the task, you know, I leave it. I say, no, I can't, you know, it's finished. I won't do it. But an obligation, obligation is different. So the teacher, for what I know, you know, for my contract, it's specified either I teach, if I don't teach, I die. I have nothing to do here. I have nothing to, no more oxygen to breathe, you know, from others. I have nothing to. So the only reason I survive now, I live, is because my student has relationship to me. So this is a double sword, because the contract is likely for me. You know, it's mostly my contract, if I can say, my obligation. But in fact, this is also the obligation of the student. Because if they don't fulfill their roles, I suffer. So this is very subtle, but I understand also that students can't understand this. Mostly they can't understand this part, the responsibility they have to me.
So what makes a student, I guess, is the
The
question.
link. So
The link.
I'm very formal with this. I have many friends coming around, and I hope sometimes benefiting, sometimes not. They stay, they leave, okay. But a student is like a formal wedding. It's a formal vow we take one another, directly speaking, expressing, and hopefully fulfilling it. So that makes a student. It's not his understanding of the teaching. It's not, of course, this is part of the game. It's not only the level of practice. I have students who doesn't practice, basically, they're, I can't practice, I'm sitting every morning, what for, No.
Mhm.
It's okay, that's fine, don't worry. We are not at the army here. It's not a coercive stuff. So the main part is, are we willing to build the link between us, a very intimate, very subtle, very, very warm, very fine link between us,
Mhm.
between student and teacher. And
So
of
that,
course,
I
yes,
suppose that has to do with the title of your course, In Search of Unconditional Love,
yes,
because it's a
yes,
search, right? I guess it doesn't happen all at once. That there's a process going on.
yes, exactly. I cannot provoke devotion to the student. He has, in certain way, to discover it for himself. He has to make his path through understanding, through practice, through everything. And after certain years, maybe he will say, well, does I want this? Or is this something I want to realize very deeply? The question of devotion, of faith, of love, of something, feeling, the real feeling, of openness,
Mhm.
no
Yeah.
judgment, openness completely.
I
And
bet I think that a lot of people listening to this, might not really understand that kind of like devotion between teacher and student and that kind of thing. Perhaps you can talk a little bit about your relationship to Lee Lozowick. That might clarify that for
yeah,
people and who he was and
yeah. Of course, I guess you have known Lee, of course, and you know that he was such a extraordinary master,
yeah,
extraordinary spiritual luminary,
yeah.
and creative and funny and magnetic, and it was, such an easy way, in some way, for us students to love him. For me,
Mhm.
at least, it was so easy. I'm not like him, I'm just a normal guy. It's different. I don't have the aura. He was just such powerful, magnetic, and wonderful. And of course, for he was using the skills in this own. He was a guru, a real traditional guru. This is such a high level of spiritual being. It's really, he has assumed the post of teacher, but basically his base was to be a guru, which is a really high level spiritual being. And so,
Maybe the
yeah,
difference, what's the difference between your
in
relationship
a,
with your student and the
yeah,
relationship between the student and the guru, as you're saying?
yeah, a guru, he has such a inner realization of God in himself, the presence of God in himself, that he can navigate through the projection of love of his student. He can receive them, he can use them, he can show the students where they are, and he's not trapped. He knows himself enough, so deeply that he's not trapped. The teacher can be trapped, can still be trapped, because his inner realization is not at the level of a guru, it's a spiritual master, a true spiritual master.
Trapped by what?
Love, of course.
Mm.
When we play the devotion game, it's very touchy. That's why we have to practice, self-observation, so deep that we know ourselves, we know our automatic mechanism, we know our psychism, our psyche, we know our feeling of shame, of abandon, of lack. We know all this. If not, if we are playing a game of devotion, personal devotion between a teacher and student, uh, there is a projection, there is counter projection. It could be very touchy, very difficult. And the teacher can fall, of course, because he can have, he can enter a relationship with a person, not on the basis of the contract he has signed, but is on his own neurosis, on his own necessity, on his own lack. So love is a very, very, very delicate, very touchy subject, and very nice, of course, very, very desirable. But in this game, I have to be very sensitive, very delicate with this. And Lee was different. Yeah.
Sorry. Well, the next part of the subtitle of the course is the path of no bullshit.
Yeah.
The Lee Lozowick path of no bullshit. So I imagine in the sort of devotional realm that there's a lot of just, as you say, projections and sycophantic behaviors and this and that, and so maybe you can talk more about what the real relationship is, or
please, what is a relationship, you say?
The no bullshit relationship that is also a relationship of unconditional love. Like, how do you combine the no bullshit with the love, so to speak?
Of course, this is a subject of our past in some way, because it's easy to feel devotional. It's easy to chant and be very high emotionally, or to look at the guru and be in such a transportation inner. My guru is so beautiful. The blue eyes and such a look, and magnetic look, and whatever. We can be easily trapped, by our own lack. In fact, with Lee, that was like this. But he was constantly asking us to go deeper. That's the no bullshit path, to be honest with ourselves. And to look at ourselves, from this perspective, I would say, from self-observation. So I am true to myself, or I am playing a game, because my lack of love for myself and the feeling of love, I try to grab it from my guru. I try to take it from him. I'm not giving him something. I take it. So the no bullshit path is honesty, total honesty, the more possible. And for this, we have to know ourselves. And as you know, in our school, we have these two legs. There is the devotional path, the poetry, the music, the faith, and all the devotional aspects. Very nice, chanting and music and everything creative and beautiful, which lift us. And we have the other leg, which is soul searching, which is, okay, look at yourself deeper and deeper and deeper. And if you can't do it with group, do it your mates, be in circumstance which reveals yourself as you are, and so on. So we have the two legs. If we have just one leg, we can be, how do you say, deceiving ourselves. One leg could be easily a deception of ourselves. If we are only devotional and faith and whatever, we ignore the mechanism of our personality, of ego. So we are too high, we ignore the reality of ego. If we are only on self-observation, on ego, we fall in the trap of psychology, and we ignore the magical part of life.
So we could become hyper psychological about everything and just observational, and we forget about the, as you say, the love aspect and
Yeah, the magic of life and the devotion and the feeling of heart, you know, and what love will where we are going with this feeling. Can
yeah.
to open. Yeah.
Yeah. So a question occurred to me is like about transformation, and you've talked about that a few times. I'm not sure if I've got it. Like this is a path of transformation, you've said. What does it mean to transform, and how do we transform? And
We transform because our view of the world change.
yeah.
We transform because our view of the world change. You know? When I came to the school more than 30 years back to Lee School, in fact, my spiritual research was for myself,
Mhm.
you know, because I could say, oh, I love so much God, you know, I want to know God and so on and so on. But basically there was most suffering, in fact, a demand inside. Of course, there is genuine desire to know God and so on, but mostly suffering is the basis. And it's fine, it's okay. But we cannot ignore it. We cannot ignore that suffering is the basis.
The
So,
suffering is being trapped in this narrow perception
yes, you
of
know,
ourselves.
try to escape by a better image of itself, you know, and say, oh, I want God. I pray to God. Why not? Okay, yes, it's fine, you know, but it's incomplete. It's not complete. So transformation goes from there. Okay, we know where we start. We don't know where we are going. This is very important. We don't have a name. As I say, you know,
Right.
anytime we have a name, we are lost already.
So that was your first course, actually. The first class was called "Do
Yeah,
You Have an Aim on the Spiritual Path?"
yeah,
And there's this book by Chogyam Trungpa called "Journey Without a Goal."
yeah.
So,
Oh,
do we have an aim, and do we have a goal, or don't we? Sometimes you could say we do and we don't. These are kind of
sure.
complementary notions that are true,
Course,
and yeah.
many paths, you know, and many definition of what the. But okay, we have to choose one in some way, you know. But I prefer for my students that they consider that they are going nowhere.
Mhm.
Because in any case, as we set an aim, we set a goal, we are trapped. We are trapped because ego loves this. Ego loves to come from A to B and define in some way a sort of arrival gate.
Mhm.
And it's not like this, you know. Lee was saying, not up hand, not up hand, meaning
Sorry,
we
what was
are
that again? I didn't get that.
not up hand. Lee was saying, not up hand,
Mhm.
no final gate.
Oh, final hand.
Yeah. You have to go, as Trungpa was saying, you know, the pass is a goal. Something like this in English, I don't know. But the pass is a
Mhm.
goal. And it's true. It's true.
Mhm.
So transformation, I come back to this, you know, transformation goes from, it's for me to, okay, I'm okay to serve.
Mhm.
I'm really okay to serve.
To serve, yeah. So the
Yes.
basis is
So
service.
this
And
is
that's love.
one aspect of transformation.
Mhm.
And we serve without being the savior. We serve without taking secondary advantages for ourselves. The most possible. It's always lurking in the behind the scene. The ego wanting to take some advantage for it. But okay, we begin to know after years, you know, we begin to understand the process. And our view change also. I was saying, so we come from a perspective of me and all other object in my view to pure consciousness, which all object, including me, lives in consciousness.
Mhm.
You know, and consciousness we can loosely, certainly, have a sort of relationship equivalent, you know, to what God could be for us.
Mhm. Pure consciousness.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
there are, yeah, it's a big journey, big adventure, needs time, of course, but what else we can do, you know, if we are, if we are if we are not too stupid, you know, what else? When we have done everything on earth, you know, we have making money, we have sex, we have drugs, we have everything we have done. Okay,
Mhm.
what's left?
What's left? Yeah. Yeah, right. Um, so you also your next class is called Life in the Sacred Swamp. I like
Yeah,
this term a lot, the
yeah.
sacred swamp. So what is the sacred swamp? That's
Now,
great.
Secret Swamp is a wonderful and mad universe we are living in. Yeah,
Mhm.
inner, our inner swamp, you know,
Yeah.
and whatever we encounter outside of us, you know. And we know these times are tough. There is violence, there is aggression, there is stupidity, there is uh, very low virtues, low virtues, you know. Okay, we have to deal with all this, you know. We have bills, family, and big lives. So everything. And inside us. The swamp is mostly inside us, of course, firstly.
Mhm.
How we deal, you know, as I said before, with feelings, how we deal with shame, how we deal with guilt, with anger, with vanity, pride, and feeling of abandonment, and impatience. You know, yeah, there are so many things we have to look inside, we have to deal, and in some way, other people, other friends point us to us very kindly, very gently, but because this work is very difficult alone, it's very difficult, if not impossible. And
Mhm.
this is not friend, the teacher can point us because we have a link of trust between the teacher and the student. So the teacher, in some way, is rented by the student
Mhm.
but directly
Yeah.
what's in point.
It's again, this is the love thing, but it also shows you the swamp, right?
Oh yeah, we have to cross the swamp. We have to
Mhm.
go there.
Yeah.
If not, it's his delusion. We are in a delusion. You know, we can sing and sing until our tonsils are red, you know, and we can sing devotional kirtan and song. And but if we
Mhm.
don't cross our inner swamp, I doubt very much of our uh, authenticity.
Mhm. Well, maybe you can talk a little bit about the style and quality of the lineage of Lee's lineage and the balls, which I think is it's not a monastic path, so it's not about getting out of the swamp. It's about the tantric paths are really traditionally about being in the midst in the center of the swamp on some level. Would you agree
Yeah,
with that or?
yeah, yeah. Our lineage is it's a powerful lineage and very remote in some fine many ways. And it's mostly the guru of this page, of this lineage, of this space, were black sheep. You know, Lee
Mhm.
was definitely black sheep in USA. He comes from New York, but he was never widely recognized in the US. And lucky for him, you know, because his work is more discreet. He doesn't touch mainstream. He's discreet work. And his own teacher, his own master, because was not teaching, was a beggar. So a beggar in India.
Mhm.
So we can imagine. So where were we? Yes,
In the
the
swamp. We
master,
were in the swamp.
philosophic master was yeah. We
Yes,
come to the farm.
the master of the swamp.
Yeah, yeah. He was a beggar, so you know, the real. What is it to be in the street and beg in the street and live in the street in India, which is a very, very, very low stage. You are not even a sadhu. A sadhu in India is honored by the society, by tradition. He's
Mhm.
fed, but a beggar. So, and he was a great saint, a great, great saint, very powerful, very great saint. Of course, ignored by the masses during maybe 60 or 70 years of his life. Just at this end of his life, he was really highly recognized.
Mhm.
And his own master, was a sadhu. He was Swami Paparamdas, which is well known in the West. And Swami Paparamdas has his ashram in Kerala, Ananda Ashram.
Mhm.
And he has taught, yeah, Yogiram Satkumar when he was very much younger in the year 1950. So this is a lineage in some way of black sheep, not fancy silky guru, with
No.
nice 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 clothes or nice entourage. Or, no.
Yeah.
Very, very discreet and very powerful and very, yeah. And
Yeah.
so we know the swamp, we know the swamp. And the swamp is really how we serve. Lee was saying, I would like you, um, I would like you uh, to serve God functionally.
Mhm.
So he was saying something for us, this was in some way one of the same. And functionally was the main word. Because in some way being united with God or having an experience of God or of the higher worlds is easy in many ways. But to be functional, that's require a different strength and a different perseverance and discipline.
It reminds me of Gurdjieff talks about the sly way. There's a way in which you need to be hidden or you know, or yeah, functional. I guess that's also the fact that people just get really tripped out on a lot of things these days, and you know, um, so yeah, it's challenging to be functional, I would say.
So what you say, the
I'd say it's for me at least, and for a lot of people I know, it's who are sincere in some way. It's challenging to be functional,
oh yeah, of course, yeah, exactly,
and especially when you feel like a black sheep,
yeah,
and then you have to be functional at the same time.
exactly. Because the black sheep is easy to retire. Black sheep wants to be off.
Yeah.
And no, for me and for my student, I just say, please have your hands dirty, mix with people where they are, help them, serve them constantly. And if you don't have a job, maybe you talk to me, we talk together, and I will find you something to do. Because there is such a demand, such an incredible lack, of support for people, or not social support. I mean, genuine being support, being there, listening, sharing, compassion, everything, But the student has to be very clear why he is doing this and how he is doing it. So to be in the swamp, we are first again to cross our own inner swamp, not to be ignorant, of our own deep, deep, deep feelings. The little child feeling in us. We have to be revealed to this. If not, this is deception. This is an illusion. We are feeding still and still our ego.
Mhm.
And there's a guys, the pretext of serving. And it's very tricky. If we don't do it, we don't know we are self-serving. So we have to serve first in some way, be clear, and to know the degree we are self-serving.
The degree to which we are self-serving.
Yes,
Uh-huh,
yes.
uh-huh.
But
Yeah.
only in serving we can know it, really.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm honest with myself and why I do spiritual practices, I'm doing it for myself.
Hmm?
I mean, I wish I was doing it for other people. I wish I was doing it because I'm compassionate, but there's a way in which I'm just trying to get out of my own pain.
Of course, it's good. It's a good, very good aim, in fact, because we have to cross this. We have to go over this.
Yeah.
When our pain is in some way uh, not disappearing, but maybe tamed, we can say, or lose power. Okay, we can look at the other and say, oh, he's suffering so much more than my little my
Mhm.
little shame or my little guilt, I think it was so big. No? No?
Yeah. Yeah, there's something, well, in the spiritual path, often we separate the worldly from the non-worldly, right? They always talk about the worldly and the non-worldly
Okay.
as a duality, as like we should get out of the worldly. And there's something that always bothered me about that. And I mean, you wrote a letter which we published on our Parallax about money,
Mm.
things like money, sex, all these things that are supposed to be unspiritual are
Mhm.
often the place where spirituality is the most intense.
Yeah,
Um,
of course. Yeah, this is a big mistake. I don't know. Maybe this is sort of religious background to separate what is sacred and profane. This is
yeah.
typically Western society. I don't know. In India, this is not like this. In India, for example, there is no difference between sacred and profane. This is the same, This is the god have sex, everywhere in the temple. Then they are literally mixing with the people, and so there is no separation. And I guess this is a big error, a mistake, to make another one separation. This is good, this is not good, You could eat this one and you don't have to eat this one, or money is bad, or sex is, oh no, sex don't make sex, so don't have sex, and
Mm.
because this is not spiritual. No, no, no. We have to, like, the tantric path is use everything, use everything. Coming to you, use everything. It's not that you are, uh, it's not that we are cyberit, you say, or
Hedonistic or yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's
hedonistic. No,
it's
no,
not
no.
about just
It's
pure
not.
hedonism.
No, this is not at all this. This is typically a misunderstanding by the ego. He wants to take, and many tantric, massage or whatever school or whatever, they
Yeah.
are just hedonistic, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This is not at all this. This is a use for service for God, about what's come to us. We don't have to enjoy or to, how to say, to use it, of course, but we can recognize it and, okay, we use it or not. And of
Mhm.
course,
Yeah. Yeah.
we really
The
have
word
to.
like economy comes to mind too. It's like the
Mhm.
economics of how we live our life, just how we use the materials around us.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yes.
So in your third class, I'm kind of just going through the classes that you're proposing in September as a guide in this conversation, and you talked about the teacher as the servant and the student as the son of the house.
Yes.
And so the teacher is the servant. Well, what do you mean by that?
A teacher is a servant. He follows the student to the point where the student is fed up with himself and will follow the teacher. Do you
Mm.
follow me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. This is it. So, in my own relationship with my students, I follow them.
And
I try
how does
to,
what does that mean? Follow them.
that means that I try to suggest something. I try to teach. I try to give something to build a relationship with them in a certain way.
Yeah.
And if they escape this relationship by opposition, by laziness, by any strategy they put, I have to follow them.
Which we all do, right? Otherwise, we
Yes,
wouldn't be
yes.
students,
It's a
right? Or just
constant, it's a constant battle. It's a constant, in fact, and very subtle, My students are very nice, you know them, they are very helpful, they are very nice. But when sabotage is there, it's there. And it could be so subtle, so little sabotage, they don't even know it. I know it, I feel it. When it's done, I feel it.
hmm hmm
And we are suffering. Both students and teacher are suffering from this situation.
because of our sabotage that we might even not be aware of
No,
ourselves.
the student is mainly unaware. If it's a big sabotage or if he has developed a certain sense of the world, yes, he will begin to recognize it and say, oh, I I I lose my mark.
Mm.
But mainly the students doesn't remark even that he has made a sabotage. But it's
Mhm.
okay, this is the game.
And we have
So
to kind of learn to notice when we're doing that, perhaps a bit over time.
yes, over time it will refine and it will become, certain agreements. And so this is the teacher is the servant of the process of the student. And for the teacher, it's clearly the student is the son of God, is the son of the house. So he has to serve the son of the house. And it's not a question of personality. I have weird students, you know. I have
You have weird students, is that what you
so
said?
yeah, personality wise,
Personality.
yes, that's not my personality. But it's not the point. It's not, it's like if one is hungry, or the other one is totally inhibited, can't speak even, or the other one is say, oh, I'm in a relationship with you. I don't see you since 5 years, but I am in a relationship with you.
Mhm.
This is a sort of, how we can say, pure illusion of his part.
Mhm, mhm.
But I can't convince him. We talk about this part for one man. We talk about this. I say, no, you are not in a relationship with me. Your dream, yes, maybe, but factually, you are not. And say, yeah, yes, I'm in a relationship with you. So, so I have to follow him. I can't convince anybody of anything.
Mhm.
Only time, the link and perseverance and practice and all this mix can make an effect.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I have to serve them. I have to serve the student. I can't because they are the son of the house. It's not my preference sometimes, but I have to.
Yeah. It's the opposite of what we think, right? I mean, normally we think we need to serve
No,
the teacher.
yeah, of
Mm.
course. No, the,
Mm.
the conventional mind would look as a teacher as sort of position of superiority, of authority, or whatever. It is in some way, but it is because he's the greater servant
Mhm.
only. In my understanding, of the function of the post.
Right. So that's why the master is a beggar.
Pardon me?
That's why often the master is described as
Yeah,
the lowest of the low, or the beggar, or
the law of the beggar.
the crucified person, or in the
Yeah,
Christian tradition, or the lowest
yeah. Mhm.
is the one who
Yes,
can
exactly.
serve. Yeah.
Exactly.
Um,
When you climb to the cross, as Gurdjieff was saying, and it's very interesting because the cross is very high. Yes, at least 3 meter high. On the top there is Jesus Christ. But if you have a place in the work, even 1 inches up the earth, you are on the cross. Even at the bottom of the cross, you are on the cross.
mm,
So you see, and the cross has a very big level of inner realization of work and obligation. Of course, on top there are the big, the big match, the big guys. But if the simple teacher down is right at the bottom of the cross and make it, that's fine. You know, he has done his life, he has done his obligation.
mm. So, so we're doing this course, or you'll be teaching this course in September. Um, and what do you think, what do you think people can learn from you? Is that seems like a kind of a vulgar question. I don't know why
Yeah.
but I,
An interrogation, I would say. They could have some question about their own past, maybe a certain help if they question themselves. I don't mean they could become students. This is not the point.
hmm,
The point is maybe I can bring something to their own past, maybe some clarity or more confusion. We will see, but it's good to, and we can try to, yeah, to bring some question for them to see how they are living their own path. Yes.
hmm. Why do some people sort of want to practice and be on the path and learn about, and other people just don't seem to have any interest, you know?
Mhm.
I mean, I think my wife is a more spiritual person than me, but I do all these practices and things, but she doesn't feel like to being on any path or
Yeah, sure.
what's going on? Why do
No,
some
they can
people?
come, they are welcome. If they don't want to be committed to a teacher or they don't even, but they can just listen. Okay, that's fine.
Hmm.
In fact, when I do talks and when I have really very little expectation because it's not in my hands in many ways. What happens is really not in my hands.
Yeah, I mean, I noticed that in meetings with you
Mm,
that the things sort of happen as they should or as they need to, or rather than there being some overarching kind of controlling
mm.
narrative. So maybe what are you up to now? And like you've written 4 books. Maybe I could you write books, and I've translated one of them or helped translate one of them, and called "Surrender Your Arms," a beautiful book. Are, are you writing another book? And what are you like? Where are you going? What are you thinking about? Or
Well, I'm working here, in the Balkan,
yeah.
and I have one book published, translated already, more or less in Serbian. So we will go to the publishing part now. And in France, we will have some many in October. I seminars and talks and many things during 1 month. And in France, we are going to make the podcast in French about what I write every day to my students.
Hmm.
Letters, the Budva letters, which certainly would be another book at one time. And have this project, and maybe we can share about this is something I have to heart since years, and maybe it's come to fruition now, to more burst. You know, this is important. Maybe we can make something about it. Let's see what's God want, what's our lineage want. You know, I've seen during my medical career and during
Hmm.
my time as teacher, I've seen many people coming to me and they they talk to me and they say their most inner secret life. And I know there are people who suffers from this because they committed something bad, They have some suffering, terrible suffering, or maybe they make a crime, or there is terrible something coming up in their life, or abortion, or whatever, rape, or
Hmm.
whatever, very, very strong experience, very deep. And they live with this, they hide it, they can't talk about it. I would
Hmm.
like to open a sort of secret box. Secret box meaning the people send it anonymously, I don't care, but send it this story to me. Not by internet, I mean, certainly not, by handwritten, certainly, in a postal box, in mailbox, and that's it. I don't need to answer back, I don't need just a secret box, sort of bin, the secret bin
Hmm.
of hatred.
So the person would know they have a witness of.
Yes, they know they're a witness. I'm not sure they know that's me, maybe not, maybe yes, maybe yes, certainly if it's made by mail, we can do it. And they can deposit, their suffering there. They can put it at least one time in a lifetime, at least one time. If they have killed somebody 30 years back, and they didn't say it to anybody,
Hmm.
they can. So I would like, this is a project I cherish, and maybe some form will appear, some
Hmm. That's
functional form will appear. So it could be a nice one. Yes,
that's a beautiful idea. Yeah. Wow. Hmm.
we'll see.
Great.